I can't see it working in the Facebook group, but there you go. Never mind. I should stop singing.
I'll go and check it.
Hello? Hello, hello. That's the wrong view. Let's go to that view. That's much nicer. Right, so before we begin properly, I've really messed this up. The Facebook group, is that working? Can anybody see this in the Facebook group? If you can, let me know.
Yeah, I can see something's working. I just can't see us yet, but I know there's like a 30-second lag,
so
isn't there?
That's good. The other thing that I normally say right at the beginning, I'm going to say it right now, which is a bit cheeky before I introduce anybody, if that's all right. I've forgotten to set the comments on wpbuilds.com/live. If you go there and try to use Google comments, it's just, or Facebook comments, YouTube comments, it's just not going to work. Don't even try. I don't think it'll work anyway. I think I've got last week's comments going still. So I've mocked that up. Maybe if I've got a minute.
People are saying it's working. Yes, we see you. Hello, people.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, they're all in
Facebook
Facebook though. Yeah, they're all Facebook comments. So head over to wpbuilds.com/Facebook. If you're not in the group, well, you know, I can't really spend the time at the moment allowing you in. Sorry about that. But that's where you need to go to make comments. This is WP Builds Weekly WordPress News. We're talking about the WordPress news for the week that's just gone, which started on the 1st of June. And as always, I'm joined by a bunch of very nice people. Somebody new. And I'm going to point, and if I could just keep going through that blue barrier, I could get him right in the ear. It's so easy to do that wrong, isn't it? Every time. I've got quite good at it now. It's Ben. It's Ben from Layer WP. How you doing, Ben? I will say, Ben, that you can just tell us all about yourself and, you know, self-promo bit if you like.
Okay. Name's Ben. Hello. I'm not very good at these things, but I'll give it a go. I've got my own blog, Layer WP. I write about WordPress from a user point of view. And just recently, I've started working for a theme company as well, which is WP Zoom. I'm going to be contributing content, that sort of thing, but more for users of their themes. That's about me, really. That's it.
Okay. No, that's very, very kind. Well, it's very nice to have you on. It's always nice to have a new face.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about something that you did very recently a little bit later. If I forget, I must be reminded. And then down there, as always, in the sin bin seat, the one that gets blanked out by the icons when the comments come in, is Paul Lacey. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good, thanks. Paul here. I am the co-founder of the Dicky Bird Studio, which is a WordPress agency in the UK.
Okie dokie. Yeah. Thank you
I've
very much.
Also got a unicorn as well.
Yeah. Poking your head. Yeah. We had a few comments last week when it was all over that your camera was looking a bit like it got a fingerprint smear on it or something.
It looked better this week.
It is much better. Yeah.
Well, I got a new MacBook Pro, so
that is fun. I need a new toy.
Yes.
Did you get to the bank manager? Oh, new MacBook Pro.
The company bought it for me, so it's the 16 as well. So 16, yeah, it's nice.
Are you on it now? Is this it?
Yeah. So the light. It seems that the light is. It seems that the webcam is way better than the.
I think they are better, but they're still rubbish, aren't they? Because they've just got that tiny little width of a screen to get all the optics in, and it's just not good. But still,
I can't help it. Leo, you're hilarious. Just have to say.
We'll get to him in a minute. Cheeky, I suspect, all the way to the bottom. And of course, Miriam Schwab. I'm going to get it right. Look at me. Check it out right into the corner. How you doing, Miriam? Introduce yourself. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
See, it's tricky. Hi, I'm Miriam Schwab. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Static, and we convert WordPress websites to static and headless in one click, making them exponentially faster, basically unhackable, and scalable. So
totally works as well. I can.
And since you're showing your unicorn, I have to show you. I cannot believe this. I have a bunny. Can I show you this bunny? I don't know how to do this exactly. Anyways, behind
the real bunny, the actual real bunny.
There, do you see?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw it. Then.
I've been spending all of my life as a parent telling my children we will not get a pet. Now there's a bunny, and it lives with me in the office.
Mm-hmm.
So
I saw your picture on Facebook where you basically ran through the list of animals. No, not having that. No, not having that. No, bunny. How did this happen?
How did this happen? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a bunny.
It would appear that the Facebook comments are working. However, if you're on, and the YouTube one, so maybe I was cleverer than I thought. the Facebook ones, we don't know who you are unless you go to the top of the post and you actually enable StreamYard. You've got to click on a StreamYard link, and then that allows StreamYard to grab your username and so on. Otherwise, you come out like this. It just says Facebook user, hello, and then it says works, and then it says hello, and then it says yes. And you could all be the same person, or you could be like 8 different people. Yes, we see you. Hi there. Hi there. This is the founder of WP Ninja Tables and WP Fluent Forms. Very nice to have you with us. Heinrich is on YouTube, so we know that's working. An open bunker. Wow, what's going on? An open bunker in Ireland. And Leo's probably only sensible comment of today is hello all. After that, it's probably going to get silly. I have seen more of Miriam in the last few weeks than some of her 58 years.
Every time he mentions how many kids I have, the number is like, I don't know, exponentially larger.
Add 2 each time, yeah. Oh well. The purpose of this is to talk about the WordPress news. I'll just very quickly talk about us briefly, if that's all right. WP Builds, WordPress. I keep saying it's like a network. We just produce content a bit like this. Most of it's audio or video, but it's all to do with WordPress largely. This is our website. Subscribe on this page. You've got a couple of options here: newsletters, product updates, that kind of thing. And then down here, if you want to find us on your podcast player, that's like something out of a film where they warn you not to watch it if you've got problems with strobe lights. Look at it. There's just too much going on there. And this is our deals page. We've been lucky enough to be like loads of product owners have got in touch with us and said, have some money off our products. So go and check that out. It's that link there. What else have we got? News. This is us every week. We do an animal themed news. Last week it was worms. Today it's buffalo.
Should have been a rabbit.
I should have been a rabbit.
We'd only knew in advance.
It's a rabbit next week for sure. Yeah, okay, we'll go for the rabbit next week. And this is the sort of stuff that's been happening in the WordPress world since we did this last week. The first one here is on WP Tavern. I keep saying that. I should say WordPress Tavern. This is Sarah Gooding announcing the release cycles for the next couple of WordPress releases, 5.6, 5.5. Matt Mullenweg, here it is. Matt Mullenweg's doing the next one with Jake Spurlock and David. I want to say Baumwold, but I don't know how I would pronounce that name. So I'm going to say it's, is it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't do too badly. And then the next one, so that's fabulous. You know, that's really great. And there's some things in here, but this is the one that piqued my interest. The 5.6 release, which is mooted to come down the track in December of this year, so quite a way away, includes a group of 50 women. And I use the word women loosely. I think the correct terminology is people who identify as women. Got to be quite careful of that. And all 50 of them are doing the whole thing. Now, interestingly, I thought this was a topic that had no controversy attached to it whatsoever. I thought this is a total, everybody's going to agree with this. But actually, I went on to the WP Tavern to Justin's latest article that he wrote. It's not this one, but if you find the most recent one, it's about politics. A lady did, in fact, chime in and said, this is a bit of a silly thing. It's sort of subverting what we need to be doing. It should just be, you know, men and women always 50-50. And so, I don't know. What's your thoughts on this? I don't want to get into politics too much, but I think it's a good thing. I don't see why this is a bad thing. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Well, of course, I have an opinion on that.
Go for it.
As you can see, even from this podcast structure, I am the only woman, and that often, and it says it's not anyone's fault. It's just often the case in many settings related to anything that technologically related. I just experience it all the time. At one point, I even thought of coming up with hashtag me and men, where I just take pictures of myself with all the men in the background at the events that I'm at. Because like sometimes it's so blatant, it's crazy. So I have gone back and forth with myself on this, like, shouldn't it just be whoever's best or 50-50? But because of the big disparity between how many men are represented in tech, and WordPress, particularly developing the core software, is technologically driven, you need to make an extra effort to encourage the types of people that aren't being represented to make sure that they are represented. And so, yeah, it seems like it's going to the other extreme, but if you think about it, it's not the other extreme, because even with this all-women squad, it's still, if you look over time, the women representation is going to be lower. Also, women tend to, okay, I don't like generalizations, but what I've seen when I talk to other women who are in tech or founders even, I just had a conversation yesterday with another female founder, and I was giving her advice on how to do her fundraising round. And she's a strong, smart woman, and she herself has self-confidence issues, and she won't push herself into certain places or positions and things like that. And so when it's an all women's squad, a lot of women who would not necessarily feel the confidence or comfort of joining this group, they will more likely do that. And as someone who organized WordCamps, to find women speakers, often you have to be proactive and go out and invite them. So same here. I know that Francesca and Josefa proactively went and asked women to join, and otherwise they might not have thought that they were of the caliber to join, or they wouldn't feel comfortable about it. And so that's why this happened. So I think it's praiseworthy. And hopefully, this is how you get things started. And then these women who are in this release squad will hopefully feel comfortable going forward, joining other projects like this and leading other projects like this. So I think it's good. So good job, women.
Yeah. Okay. Leo's in agreement. 100%. He says, I think that a build 100% run by women, when so many have been 100% men, is a good thing. I don't know if there's been many that have been 100% men, but I'm sure that it's significantly more men than it is women, as we found out.
I'm in agreement as well. I mean, I generally in the past, I quite like the best people for the job sort of way forward on things, but and I've worked in organizations like 15 years ago where I saw positive discrimination and those sort of things. But I think WordPress is just is like the WordPress community and is like a leader in these sort of areas. So I don't see anything cynical in this. Some people might say, oh, it should be the right people for the job in this case. But I think that this isn't a cynical, let's do all of those women a favor by the men or something. I think this is more like a shining example to other communities and other industries to say, check it out. It's not a cynical operation. This is just it was an ambition for a long time, and it's getting done, and that's how I see it. It's nothing cynical at all. I know there was some comments in the politics post, and that person's totally understandable why they would react like that. I can see a lot of people would react like that and say that it was kind of belittling on all women.
Yeah, that was
but I just think that this particular community is quite forward-thinking in general, and why not show as an example to others?
Yeah,
that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Ben, or
I think, I think it's a great idea personally, because they're not going to choose people that are going to write rubbish or code rubbish. They're going to be decent quality women who can code properly and to the best of their abilities. And I think it more so because I don't develop. I'm not a developer, obviously. But what I do see, it's quite a male-dominated industry, especially on Twitter and stuff like that. And to have women inspiring other women to actually get involved, and become models for other women who think, well, actually, do you know what? I'm going to give this a go. I think it's a great thing. I think I can understand why people don't like the idea, but I think that's a little bit silly. Personally, I think it's a good thing, and I'm 100% behind it, definitely.
I just couldn't see a downside to it.
No.
In that, sometimes you just gotta do these things through well, what's the word? By committee, shall we say? Make a decision. Although it might seem on the face of it, it's not. It's not 50-50. It's not a meritocracy. So what? It seems like a really good idea, and it'll force something to happen.
It's to break down the imposter syndrome that some people might have. Just any barriers that you can say, this is a totally open community, and make statements like that to make it a more rich community is a great thing. So
I can't think of any other product, software or otherwise, where by the end of 2020 they'll be able to say we had there was a version of something that we built that was entirely led by females. I can't think of anything. Maybe there has been, but it shows great maturity. And I think good on Josefa for organising it. I think it was her, and was it Jill Binder and a couple
Francesca
of
was very
Francesca
involved.
Morano. Yeah.
She actually, Francesca reached out to me about joining. I loved the idea, but I have like zero time to breathe. So I knew I wouldn't be a good member of the team from that point of view.
Yep.
But WordPress in general as a community is very good at encouraging diversity. Like really, I don't know any other community or ecosystem that I think does such an excellent job. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but in this past WordCamp Europe over the weekend, over 51% of the speakers were women.
Yeah.
I've never been to a tech-related conference where that is the ratio. So I've been close. Like when you get like 10%, you're like, woo, we're doing great. So kudos to everyone for pushing this forward. I think it's amazing and it's important for women and we're not a minority, but for minorities to see people like themselves up on stage leading projects and inspiring them to do that as well.
So being the only female on this panel, Miriam, does it feel like, do you feel proud about the community for doing something like this? Or is it just like a bullet point in a news item list? Or does it actually make you think, gee whiz, that's cool. I'm really, really pleased to be associated with this. Is it on some level beyond what probably the other three of us can comprehend?
I think it's amazing.
Nice.
I don't think it's just like a gimmick or look at what we're doing to make women feel better. And part of that is because it's an ongoing effort by the community. This isn't once off at all. I mean, the past conference achievement with women speakers is part of that, and just inclusion and making everyone feel comfortable. It's part of the ongoing ethos of our community, and so it's yet another step. It's a big step. It was very ambitious and potentially controversial, but they did it anyways. And I think it's amazing.
Good. Leo's really going for it. Like to see future builds carried out by other demographics, and it will make a better product. And he also found a target icon. Wow, nice one. By Paul Lacey. Oh, there you go. That was a non-sarcastic comment. That was great.
Quite sensible this week.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's not feeling very well. Yeah, he's tired. Yeah, he can't be bothered to be sarcastic. Let's put this back in. We're going to talk about the WordPress kind of community, because that's our next little section. I should probably just say that we always deal with things in different sections. That was WordPress core. This next one's community, and the first one I've got is about hosting. But before we get to that, I wonder if it might be possible for those of us who got any chance to hop into the WordCamp Europe thing over the weekend. I don't have an agenda, an item for this, because when I write the news thing, it's on a Friday, so it hadn't really happened. The contributor day was just getting underway. How did it go? Did anybody show up? Did the real world get in the way? Before you speak, do you mind if I nick 30 seconds and say how it was for me? When I've been to WordCamps before, they get 100% of my attention because I'm at a different geographical place. I'm in a hotel, and I'm just there. I'm fully into it, and I attend as much as I can, and I spend time in the hallway, and I'm up till 1 o'clock in the morning talking to people, and so on. This one, I found it incredibly hard to engage with it because of life, just normal life. So my kids, the garden, Netflix, you know what I mean? Just ordinary stuff getting in the way. So I'm really fingers crossing and hoping that wasn't the case for most people and they could allocate the time to it. But my life just stepped in the way to the point where I saw almost nothing apart from Miriam's talk, which I did see. So I don't know what the case is for any of you, whether you made the effort, what have you?
Well, I showed up for my talk.
I saw that. Yeah, that would have been really bad if you'd had an empty chair.
That was not good. So I think there's like pros and cons, obviously, like everything. So on the one hand, anyone could attend from anywhere, and they didn't have to travel, leave family, and and the costs involved. So it made it more accessible to more people. So I thought that was good. I personally, if you saw my talk, I enjoyed seeing the live comments on the side, and I really enjoyed engaging with people while I was speaking. I find it very hard to speak online at like I've done some talks and like you're just speaking to this black box and you don't know who's out there. So this way you could get an idea of who's out there even more than when you're speaking in person. Because like throughout my whole talk, people were engaging. It was, for me, that was really fun. I'm a bit ADD, so it works well for me. So there was that. On the other hand, I wonder, so life definitely got in the way. I went into my networking room after that, and then I couldn't attend anything else. So I wonder if it's normally they schedule WordCamp, these major WordCamps for the weekend. And the idea is that way people don't have to take off work, because a lot of people maybe do WordPress on the side. And so that makes it easier for people to attend. But if you're doing it online on the weekend, I think that might work against them, because that's when people are not working. Like work is not their focus. Their family and their home is their focus. And I think it's harder for them to separate that and make time to get to attend an online conference. And I wonder if this is going to happen again going forward, if they should maybe schedule it for during the week. I don't know, but that's my suspicion about that.
That's what they've done at US, isn't it? WordCamp US is scheduled for the middle of the week so that people can be sent there by their employees on the business account, if you know what I mean. And it feels like actual work, not just like, okay, I'm going to do 10 days solid work, including a bit in the middle where I'm supposed to be at the weekend. Yeah.
Right. Like to me, that works much better for me and my lifestyle in general. I understand the thinking behind the weekend conference, but also, like a lot of the people are professionals in this industry. And so it's a professional conference. Maybe also it's a matter of how we think about these conferences. Is it like a friendly, casual, amateur conference, and then it happens on the weekend, or is it connected to what we do in our day-to-day lives, and then it would happen during the week? Anyways, those are just some thoughts about it being on the weekend versus during the week, and accessibility.
Yeah. Did you, Paul or Ben, did you manage to see anything, or did life get in the way?
I had the page open, and I was going to, but I didn't have the time. I've got 2 kids, I picked my son up, playing around with him. I didn't get the chance to sit there and take it in. I wanted to. Started off with the best intentions, but no.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. Just life got in the way.
I was saying, like, I really wanted to engage, and I did engage in the other 2 online conferences that I was a part of, which was the Dopey Feedback event and Agency Transformation Live, and both of those were in the week, and I was able to work with one tab open, listening and working at the same time. And but then the weekend, this time I really wanted to engage, but the weekend came along. I'd had a long week, and my family were here, my kids and my wife, and I just made a decision. I just thought, I don't think they'll really get it if I just sit in front of a computer all weekend. Plus, knowing that they're just there, I didn't really want to do that. And so maybe that's just people with kids sort of perspective, because normally I love it when the WordCamps are on the weekend and you go to them, because it's like a weekend off in a way, and you fully commit and you go and you stay in a hotel. But then the online ones, I prefer them to be in the week. And if I go to a real event in the week, I'm not fully engaged because I'm putting out fires on my smartphone from time to time throughout the day, just like, everything's fine, just putting this fire out or whatever. And so I unfortunately didn't get to engage with it, and I really wanted to, because I really want to connect with some new people this year on these online events, because as me and Nathan, we met properly at an event at WordCamp, and that is where you make really solid relationships. And so I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't engage, but I just had to make a decision and hang out with my family after a long, hard week slogging away at work. So
I think that's fair enough. I think it's really interesting that a lot of these platforms, well, I don't even know if it's a platform which is bundled up, because I think a lot of the stuff that was at WordCamp Europe was Zoom calls kind of organized with a WordPress website install with links on it and so on and so forth. But I feel like a lot of these new platforms that have come along, especially in this exact period where we're all in lockdown, they're trying to mimic the real world event. So they're trying to sort of create the impression that over here are advertisers, and over here is the main stage, and over here are some sort of social sofa areas, and here's the hallway track, and kind of feels like that's trying to mimic something in the real world that you can't really mimic. And for me, I just want to see the talks, maybe hang out a bit, but the way of hanging out hasn't worked its way through. I'm sure, give it 5 years and somebody will have come across a genius way of doing it, you know. But at the minute, it seems like they're all kind of like a poor relation of something that we're working towards.
If you're into
anyway,
talks,
interesting.
I think you'll be fine. You know, if you're a person that goes to events and goes to all the talks, then that's fantastic. You can do that, and you can watch them in your own time as well if you can't watch them all. But I'm like a lot of people who are probably watching this today, the hallway trackers who just go there to talk to other companies, other individuals, make friends, make new business contacts, and actually don't go to many of the talks. Just go there for the buzz and enjoy the time. And the DOP feedback event was pretty good for that. Actually, there was a good hallway track on the Jitsi channels that they set up for that, and I did meet a bunch of new people from the Codable team and some other people that I didn't know before. From some people from GoWP, so that was fantastic, and I was disappointed that I couldn't do that on the weekend. But other priorities, like a lot of people are saying in the comments, got in the way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm certainly glad that they put it on, and a lot of this stuff will have, a lot of shelf life going forwards. Maybe once it's on WordPress TV and so on and so forth, there'll be people watching this content for years to come. But difficult proposition putting an online conference on, and also so many little things. 2 tracks all at the same time, that just dilutes it a bit. And then you're trying to push. I know that in various places where I know people online, they were saying that from the advertiser's point of view, it was a difficult thing, because trying to persuade, and I was saying to Miriam before this all began, before we clicked record, that in a real WordCamp, there's no way you're not going to go and hang out in the advertising bit for a bit. You might even end up spending like a whole day in there, because it's just quite entertaining. They spend a lot of money, there's quite a lot of interaction, there's things to be picked up, swag to be had, people to talk to that you haven't yet met, and so on. But the idea of clicking to go to a room where you don't know who's going to be there, you can't sort of check it out, and the minute you drop in, your name is on the little Zoom screen, and then you feel a bit guilty when you 2 seconds later back out. It's like, oh, Nathan, then he just didn't want to stay. What, that kind of thing. So interesting.
Kudos to everyone that's trying, though. Because if I'd had time to engage fully in this event, I'm sure I would have really enjoyed it, gone in the networking rooms, gone in all the online sponsor booths and stuff like that. I think it's just that we, as 4 people here, happen to have kids, and the logistics of it didn't work out very well for us. So it's not taking away any of the hard work and I tell you one thing I was really impressed with, and I also saw this on the WordPress Kent. I'm not sure, is that in Canada or something? Kent?
I think it's US.
Is it in America?
Sure. I don't know. Is that that way anyway?
Like the city?
I don't know.
It was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? And it was definitely in North America somewhere, but I don't know.
Is it North America somewhere? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
And one thing that I saw that both of the online WordCamps were doing was completely live presentations, which I saw that this was happening. I saw, Miriam, you were doing that as well. I just thought, wow, you are doing this with almost no real feedback of people standing in front of you. And some people might say, oh, that's going to get rid of all my nerves. I don't have to stand in front of people. But if you've ever tried to do your own talk to yourself in the mirror and you just can't do it, it's very difficult. Once you get past the first minute of speaking on stage and you're all right and you realize you've survived and your pants haven't fell down or something, then you get feedback from the audience who is there, and it gives you the energy to keep going and to keep thinking, I need to make this talk good, keep going, I need to stay focused. So that must have been incredibly hard for everyone to do these talks to a chat box. So kudos to those people, because I would have really struggled. Both of my talks so far and online ones have been pre-recorded, and that was hard enough. So well done for those people.
So that's a good point. The hard part about speaking online is that you can see yourself. When I speak at conferences, I can't see myself, obviously, and it takes me a long time before I'll watch the recording of my talk. I try to watch it at some point because I can learn about my speaking technique and try to improve the next time, but I hate watching myself. And when you're speaking online, you're just looking at yourself. So that's challenging. But like I said, I love the ongoing chat and the interaction. For me, that was great. What I think about these online conferences, I've attended like a few since COVID started. I think WordCamp Europe by far was one of the best organized that I've attended. Had really good ideas about how to create like that sense of interactivity and that kind of thing. And I think what's going to happen is that instead of trying to mimic in-life conferences, we're going to have to come up with a new format that is more suited for the internet, kind of like e-commerce shops, right? It's not like I'm walking into a store, but we all now know how to shop online. And so that will be the case with these types of conferences. I think the whole advertising, like the sponsor booth thing, just, it doesn't work. It's hard to be motivated to go into sponsor booths. So I think that these types of conferences will have to find a different way to give their sponsors value. So it could be that during every talk, they're mentioned, or the networking rooms themselves could be sponsored. So rather than sponsoring, there's in-kind sponsorships at WordCamps, like the food or the t-shirts, there would be, this company sponsoring this networking room, this company sponsoring that networking room. For every hour, it can swap out, and then people are hanging out around the brand and networking there, and that can be, so meaning like there can be ideas that come up as we go along, and it will improve. But I really think they did a fantastic job. It was so well organized. Before, also, each of us speakers had a meeting with the production team to make sure that we knew what we were doing. It was very much like the in-person ones. They wanted to keep the quality. Very impressive, everything. And I think, I hope we can get back to in-person conferences, because I do miss meeting people. I'm one of those people who the whole time in the sponsor area. I take one step and talk to someone, and then take another step and talk to someone, and it's exhausting, but it's really fun. And that's what I love to do. And once in a while I'll manage to squeeze in a talk. So I do miss that. And anyway, they did a really good job.
It feels to me like we're just on this journey. We're trying. Somebody somewhere will come up with a platform which just nails it, and it'll be a bunch of platforms falling by the wayside trying to figure it out. And at the minute, everybody feels like they're trying to mimic the live event with online. It's not quite there, but it'll come. But I agree with you. I do like the idea of just, I think the advertising areas is just something that, especially if I'm pushed for time, that's going by the wayside. Whereas if it was just like in a radio show or something, there's just a pause for sponsorship. There's a 30-second ad slot. Here it comes. This speech was brought to you today by Stratic, as an example. And that's just maybe the model that the online events need to take. Be interesting. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. That was really interesting. I really enjoyed that. The next one, which I'm going to probably sort of like give this a bit of a light covering. I just like this. Every year, this Review Signal website publishes its latest version of their benchmarks, and you can always tell by this tiny little scroll bar up in the top corner how long it is, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And look, and when you get like tables and charts, somebody's really nerded out on this. Just look at that, look at it. It's just and I think he takes it really seriously. One of the things that I thought was quite nice is that friend of the podcast, Patrick Gallagher, and his Grid Pane company made a bit of an impact into this survey. So anyway, that eternal debate that we have in our Facebook group all the time, what's the best host? This is worth checking out, but it feels a bit more enterprisey. Now, I was going to segue beautifully, but I can't think of a perfect one, because I was going to ask Miriam to tell us about some of the latest stuff in Stratic that's been happening recently.
Okay, nice, elegant segue.
That wasn't good, was it?
It was okay. It was doable. So I'm really excited. What's really exciting about working on a startup or a product is that you can have an idea and then it will happen, and it's really exciting. It's like seeing your baby being born, and I had this idea. So Stratic publishes WordPress websites as a static version of themselves, so they look and act the same, but every page is pre-rendered, right? When you visit a WordPress site and you want to see a page, it's basically like compiled for you on request, and that's because it's a dynamic site and that has a lot of advantages to it. So, on our platform, every page is pre-rendered. It's an HTML page, it's a static page that exists on its own, which has its own advantages. But what it means is that if the bigger a site is, the longer that generation process is going to be. Because if you think about it, every single page that's being generated, plus pagination, categories, you name it, we capture everything to make sure that the site is perfectly captured. It can take a long time. And that's the case with all static site generators, not just static. So we're always looking for ways to make it faster and optimize it. So already like a while ago, I had this idea that we could optimize the publishing by identifying what exactly was changed and making sure that that gets sent to the static site like immediately. Because it's served up through a CDN, a content delivery network, we have to invalidate the cache there right away, and then it will be seen almost instantaneously. And it took a while to get that in place and also QA it and make sure that like it made sense and we were prioritizing correctly. But it finally was launched, which means that our customers who have larger sites, we have some customers with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pages, when they make a change to their site, then they like write a new blog post, for example, then that appears very, very quickly on their static version of their site. The homepage gets updated, the blog archive gets updated, the relevant categories, tags, authors, like we identify all that, and it's done. So that goes for a very large site. It goes from, it can be an hour or more, a whole full publication process down to minutes, which is incredibly significant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, super excited about that. And we rolled it out to all our users. And there's documentation on that. So that is one of the very exciting latest features that we launched.
So it's not just taking the latest event. Let's say it's you've updated a post. It's not just taking that and then leaving everything else to one side. It's just putting that first and then moving on to all the other stuff. So it will do the normal process, but just there's a queue now and there's something which pushes its way toward the top of the queue.
So this particular publication just does the most important stuff. And then later at a just different point, our users can do a full publish. But in many, many cases, they don't need to do that at all because don't pay. Like the cases where they would want to do a full publish are like if they update their menu, right? The menu appears on every page of the site. So you want to do a full publish of the site. And ideally, hopefully, we're going to be optimizing even for that, down the line. But in the meantime, for some of our companies the companies running on Stratic, they're like mid-level enterprise, and so they publish press releases, they publish blog posts, they do things, and they need it to appear quickly. And then if they make they need to correct something, they need to do that quickly. And so this answers that need. So far the feedback has been very good, and it really has solved like a big need. And so that's really exciting that we got that.
It is a bit of a paradigm shift. I remember I used Stratic for the first time on what is now Big Orange Heart website, and it is there's a bit of learning curve, isn't there, in terms of so a spin up a VPS, then that you have to log into that, and then you click save and watch the little progress bar move, and obviously if you've got a team of people, you've got to organize all that. So this felt like a really brilliant way of sort of sidestepping that whole problem. So nice.
Yeah, we're always trying to align it as much as possible with the native WordPress experience. And just two small other things that we recently released. We have full support for WPML now. WPML, if any of you use it, it's a giant monster of a thing. But we needed to support it. So we do that for our enterprise customers. Some of them have 7, 10 languages, I don't know what. So that's done. And we actually didn't have support for AMP. Personally, I am not a fan of AMP. But that doesn't mean that people don't want to use it. So now we rolled out support for AMP, and so our customers can use that as well. So
and e-commerce, didn't you integrate with
Equid?
I can never say that word. What even is that word?
We had an internal debate about is it Equid or is it Equid? Anyways, I finally asked them.
Equid.
You quit. I used to call it you quit.
You quit. Yeah.
You quit.
But so that's new as well, is it? That it integrates with that and all works with e-commerce, right?
Fully tested across, the board, and it integrates really nicely. So and it's a really nice product now that we've tested a lot. So that also, and there's some other like small things, but I won't get into that. So
okay,
it's pretty awesome to have just you on the show, Miriam, because you're absolutely cutting edge in this stuff. It's just the whole article that we just looked at feels like it's going to be a dinosaur at some point to have articles like that. Like they're really useful articles about servers, but it's kind of like, here's, what do you do? Just keep adding more power, or do you just go around the side and do it slightly differently?
Yeah, now there is a debate to open up, right? Like, is static the future, or is it just the future for a proportion of the people? In other words, is it like hitting, what's the analogy? Not hammer something big, something like easy to break open. Is it? I mean, presumably, Miriam, it's a seesaw. It's a bit of a balancing act. Some people, this is huge benefit, especially from SEO and security point of view. But I'm guessing you're not going to say it's for everyone.
Yeah. So our goal is to constantly expand our addressable market, meaning the types of sites that we can support. So, we add WPML, we add AMP, we add this, we add that, and that constantly grows who can be supported on Stratic. But platforms like WooCommerce, they're really complicated because they're super dynamic. And so, we may be able to support down the line, but not soon. Also, sites with WordPress-based user logins to get gated content, that kind of thing. So we definitely can't support everything. But the idea is we can support a lot of sites, and the idea is to always grow it. I don't know if it will ever be 100%, but part of what we hope to achieve is also to educate the market on how to build their websites so they're static ready. So meaning if someone's building a new website now and they want to add forms to the site, they can either add, some form plugin that we don't yet support, or they can add different types of form solutions that are completely supported on all static-based platforms. And that way they can then decide whether they want to host it on regular, conventional hosting, or something static-based like Stratic. And we're already seeing that. People are asking how to build what should we keep in mind when we're building our new website so that it can be posted on static, like as a static site and that kind of thing. And so as time goes on, it will be less of a matter of taking existing sites that were built a certain way and more new sites that were built to be static ready. And if someone decides to build a site static ready from the start, it doesn't demand much more from them at all. It's just being aware and building a certain way. Like, don't use Ajax GET calls for that. You don't have to. You can use this instead. And on our site, we have a static tools directory. You can see it under, I think, About. And the whole point of that is also to be like, okay, so you want to have comments on your site? No problem. Check out these solutions. They're all great. They all work perfectly. Use that instead. You want to use forms. So we have native support for Gravity Forms. Use Gravity Forms. Use Contact Form 7. We also support that. Or use HubSpot Forms or MailChimp Forms or Typeform, or all of that works great. So that's the kind of thing that we're aiming to see in the market. I'm
just going to go and register the domain straticforms.com. So I can see a new pivot coming over. We've got a form solution for you. Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah, that'd be quite a. I'm sure you've thought about that, right?
But Paul, what you were saying about that kind of hosting review, so it reminded me. First of all, I think the hosting review that Kevin does is amazing. He's super thorough and very objective, and also we can all learn a lot from it about load testing and speed testing because he's really on the ball with that. I like to read it for that. But often when we're looking at pricing from other hosting companies and the pricing goes up the more resources you throw at the site, and we hear that from a lot of people who end up coming to Stratic that they were on one hosting company and then the hosting company is like, well, they're complaining, their site's sluggish. And the hosting company says, okay, well, pay us more, right? And then you'll have more resources and we'll throw more stuff at your site and then it'll work. Or you could have a statically generated site and that is not a thing. You don't have to throw more resources at your site. It just will scale seamlessly and it just works. So anyways, and Heinrich says when you look at energy consumption, which is also definitely a thing. A statically generated site that's running, you don't have all the underlying processing servers. It's definitely using less energy and less resources. So anyway,
that was nice. That was a nice little segue. Interlude. You felt, Paul, like you were going to say something else there.
Yeah, it's like a Donald Trump moment, to be honest, but with the bleach and the light that you can put inside people. But I was just wondering, is it possible.
Where is this going?
No,
Where is it going?
So I just wondered if
Is it possible to
with
put a
things like
light inside a
WooCommerce,
website?
No, I just wondered if it's feasible that Miriam, if you ever thought that things like WooCommerce might have, or even someone like yourselves might have, like a headless version of WooCommerce, whereby when you start a static site on Static, you actually have two installs. You have the WooCommerce engine somewhere or something, and then you have like the static site, and then you put in the places where it would generate the dynamic stuff onto the front end.
I do think so, for sure. And there already is like an initial. So someone created a WP GraphQL support for WooCommerce, and I think that's just the start of this direction that we're going to see.
Yeah, it feels like some smart people could make that happen, just like the Bleach and the.
I'm going to have to go and register another domain. Straticecommerce.com. Damn.
WooStratic.com.
Yeah. It just struck me that if your hosting platform did become, like a really big company, which let's hope, then all of these forms things you'd kind of want to bring in house, right? So that you were 100% guaranteed that they were, e-commerce with Stratic. We'll give you that. You want a form solution? We've got it. We built it ourselves. It's rock solid. We know it works.
Yeah.
So I've got the domains now.
Oh shoot! We'll just have to
I really haven't. Shall we move on?
Yeah, we've got to do Ben's article. I think that we should cover that one.
Now, the only problem with Ben's article is I don't have the URL. So if somebody could stick it, I'll do another one quickly first. I did want to mention that Freemius have put together. Can you see the? No, you can't. I haven't shared the page. One sec. There we go. I did want to mention that Freemius have put together this set of. They're doing 25 tutorials over the next year, and again, like Miriam's everywhere. I think Miriam was asked to do this, but decided she didn't have enough time to do it. But basically, they've got a whole bunch of very clever people who are going to be putting every 2 weeks, they're going to put a new video together all about owning a WordPress business, running a WordPress business, getting notoriety, getting fame, getting discovered, etc., etc. So you might want to go to the show notes and click on the link, and you can get yourself signed up for that. Right. The other one before we go to Ben's one is this. This looks really good. This is Justin Tadlock on WordPress Tavern again. There's a new plugin by Nick Hamsey, who I just love. Did you see his sort of brilliant stuff where he just made really, really weird blocks that nobody would ever use, but they were fun? Well, he's decided to make a block which probably will get used a lot, and it's called Mission Control. And it's basically the ability to make your WordPress admin area have blocks in it. So you install this lightweight plugin. Apparently, it didn't take him long to do. And then you can put whatever blocks you've created on a page somewhere, I guess. You can just put them in the dashboard. So it might be, I think we had an image further down. No, we didn't. That's a shame. Oh, there was a video. But, it might be something you want to alert your clients to. It might be a contact form or something like that. Anyway, the sky's the limit. Justin clearly likes it because he sort of says, damn it, I wish I'd invented this. I should have done this. It's $29, I think, for, I don't know, maybe it's a year, an unlimited site, something like that. But just thought that was quite good. I know there's a lot of plugins in this arena already, leveraging like Elementor, Beaver Builder. So this is the new kid on the block. Right. Have you got the link for me? Somebody.
It's in your Facebook.
Got it. Oh, this is so good. Right, Ben, let's put it on the screen. He's getting himself ready. This is so good. Go read it. And about what? Why did you write this? Why did you write the 30 best WordPress themes ever?
It's funny, actually. I've been ranting on Twitter a few times, usually after I have a couple of glasses of wine. And I mentioned this to Paul, actually, on a direct message as well. I'm going to do a video teardown. I'm going to destroy all these blogs that mention the top best ever WordPress themes. And I sat down and thought about it. And I thought, well, that's going to shoot myself in the foot. So I thought, why not take a humorous approach to it? Because whenever anybody goes onto Google, they put in WordPress theme for this, for that, for this. And the web is awash with people doing basically what that post is doing. And I think it hurts. I think it hurts WordPress personally from new users looking at things, that sort of thing. I think it's actually quite damaging. The the counter argument would be that I suppose these types of things are inspiring. That's all well and good, but a lot of these posts really do mislead people, and I've had enough of it. I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. That's why I did that. That's why I wrote that post, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive, actually, which I was quite surprised. I was expecting loads of dodgy backlinks from the companies who do this sort of stuff, but that hasn't happened yet. But it was a lot of fun. I just had at it, and that was it.
It's a very, very sort of acerbic kind of post. I just love this. Is the best bit. What makes these WordPress themes the best? Well, I'll be honest, I have no clue. There's 30. Don't have a clue, but here's 30 because I know everything about it. It's very funny. It's basically imagine that you wanted to write a post where you just mimic every other post like this that you've ever seen before. Do you know what would be really interesting is if like 6 months from now, this is number one in the search engine. That would be awesome. And you just, but look at it. It's exactly.
But also, did you notice the titles of each theme that he puts in, like cheese cluster WordPress theme. Like, I mean, I don't know if some of them are serious. Did I spill something on the inside of my jacket WordPress theme? Like
the best so WordPress theme.
This one is my favorite.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism. It's so good, but it looks cheese cluster WordPress. Man, you must have been having a few beers this day.
Yeah, I was.
Ben, was there any point where you were going to change the title to 20 after you were running out of ideas?
Yeah,
do you know what? I started off with 250.
Right.
I thought I can't do this. I've hardly got any red wine left, so I thought I'll narrow it down. I'll shrink it to 30 that way, and I've wrote them all up in a different screen. I've got different 2 screens, and I was writing them up, and I was looking at other articles and how they do it, and I thought, right, I'm going to just call this one the best WordPress theme ever because it's called the best or what have you, and it was just a lot of fun, really. And it's just
please go to number 11. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, they're all brilliant, aren't they? But yeah, number 11. What was that one? I'm a cat theme for WordPress. Where's it gone? I'm pretty sure he's dead.
But look what it says. With the page speed of 0 on mobile, I'm pretty sure he's dead WordPress theme will help you climb up the rankings.
It's great. Honestly, I'm kind of weeping here. I think we need more of this. I think we need more humor.
Oh my gosh, we could just spend all the others. Please go to 13.
Okay. Number 13.
There's another one as well, further down, I think.
Which one? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. Off the
just WordPress theme. Dot. It is. It's a full stop. It's a period.
He can't still be Shirley of live Shirley.
I really hope it's number 1.
Yeah, I doubt it. It's just fun.
This is where you lost. This is where you lost the will to live. At number 20, short description because I'm tired.
Yeah, it was literally.
Anyway, this is please go and read this. It'll make your day. Obviously, if you've read posts like this before, it's Layers WP. Sorry, not layers, it's singular. layerwp.com/30 best WordPress themes 2020 edition. Well, we're expecting a 2021 edition with the aforementioned 250 articles. That is genius, mate.
Funnily enough, I've registered parodywp.com. So I'm going to be doing these as and when I can, like, WordPress plugins to make toast from your WordPress keyboards using this nifty plugin. It's $99.99. I think people are so stern with WordPress. I don't understand it. And I like to have a giggle, so I might do that.
Yes. Please do more. I will happily mention them. I just think they're so fun. I mean, really, it's
be that
funny,
person,
right?
Ben. Be that person.
Take it on. Be the WordPress comedian that we know somebody needs. I've got nothing left in the tank now. That was everything that I had.
You laughed yourself out.
I really did. Oh, okay, right. Let's Right. Okay. This is assistant. This is Beaver Builder's assistant. Can I just say, just go and have a go. This is like, so there's the mission control plugin, which is kind of trying to hijack your admin screen so that you don't have to stare at the normal one that frankly nobody really uses too much, I don't think. Or at least there's too many clicks. And so this assistant by the Beaver Builder guys is trying to get rid of this. And this is just a nice little primer in how to use it. It pops up like this, and you can do so much with it. You know, you can change your post titles, you can fiddle with the images, you can edit tags. They've got this nice little tagging system, a bit like on the Mac Finder, where you can sort of say, make this one a blue, like that. So you can sort of like just arbitrarily tag things. There's just so many cool uses for this. I've played with it quite a bit this week, and I'm kind of thinking it's what I'm going to use from now on. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a bold statement, but has anybody else played with it? I don't suppose it's... Yeah. What did you reckon?
Yeah. I liked it personally. I thought it's the one thing that I think it really needs as a whole, WordPress, and it's just... I love Gutenberg. I love the way it operates, it works, but I don't like the way that you have to do a couple of different clicks to get here or there or wherever. And sometimes when you look at your screen, when you look at your post, because I always go on, read it from the back end and read it on the front end as a preview. But having this tool is really, it's quite nice to just be able to go bang, 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 like you say, add something else while you're reading it. It's very useful. I'm going to put it back on. I'm going to put it back on my main site. I think, to be honest, I've played around with it. It's good. Very good.
The intention really is that it's just a wrapper for other people to put their stuff into. So it's just it's like an open. It's it's GPL and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure that the Beaver Builder guy said, really, we're just putting the basics in and then letting everybody else decide what they want to throw at it. And I just think it's really clever. It's just this floating thing where you can interact with all the other things. And honestly, when they went full screen, that I just don't get that, like how that is. And it just removes all of the things that you need to see. And now I don't need them because I got this. Really like it.
I think the back end of WordPress is traditionally just old school HTML. I mean, it looks like tables, doesn't it, really? It just looks like tables and columns. And what this allows you to do, especially if lots of people start building apps up on top of it, is just keeping you on the front end as much as possible, just where you're seeing things and changing things, and then you're jumping into the back end where needs to be. But I think it's just another one of these super future thinking ideas like Static is as well. It's just kind of taking WordPress and putting new life into it and saying, hey, I know some people say it's been held back by its code base and all this sort of stuff, and then taking these technologies for Ajax and JavaScript on the front end and really doing cool things with it. And it's very similar to the kind of widgets that you would see on your Mac or your PC as well, on the side where someone can write a weather widget or something for your Mac or your PC, and then that has completely its own functionality built into it. So it's that whole app type approach, isn't it? It's
I just think
extremely fast as well.
I want this thing. Just like that, just a little rectangle that pops up. I like the way it looks. I like the way it's been designed, and it's just there when you need it. Chuck it away when you don't need it. Bring it back up. It's just great, and I just can't see why. I can't see a use case where this wouldn't be useful.
I mean, imagine it for from a client point of view. If someone comes up with a client training app whereby you can put inline training videos on certain places and stuff like that. Or there's just sort of endless concepts that it can be used for. And I'm really pleased with these sort of things because, with the whole Gutenberg thing, it felt for a while that the control of the direction was wrestled back from the community to head office. And then it just feels like after a year or so of Gutenberg and it all settling, that the community is of these innovators is active again, putting this stuff out, doing really cool ideas and doing cool stuff. That's my impression. I got the impression that it felt like WordPress didn't move forward very far for about a year, and then it's kind of all started again.
Yeah. Oh, just amazing. I really like it. So I just wanted to do a bit of a shout out because it's free. Go and get it. I don't know what state we're at, alpha, beta, don't know. But very nice. Good job, guys. What else have we got? Let's move on quickly. I'm just going to mention these guys. Mailhawk, this is from the guys who do Groundhog. If you need some sort of system to... It's another one, right? We've got so many solutions like this, but these guys have brought another one to the market. It's a WordPress email delivery solution. So, you know, we don't want to be using our server to send out emails. These guys have got a bit of a heritage, shall we say, in sending out emails and the whole automation process that Groundhog does. So I just thought I'd mention it. Go check it out. It's brand new. Certainly worth a look. What else have we got? Let's click over here because time is fast running out. David and I did a podcast this week. It's a bit of a moot point. We recorded it during the whole COVID thing, and it seemed like a bit of a bizarre one to do. But is it better to have an office or is it better to work from home? And we tossed that one around. I love being at home, but I know Paul, you have an office. I had an office, never used it, so I'm at home. And I know Miriam, you just got a really, really nice new office. And
my gosh, it's like heartbreaking. We had just finished. We got these 2 nice big spaces in this startup like an accelerator for startup space, and we did a kind of renovation. It's an old historic building, so you can't do that much, but we kept that kind of flavor to it, and we finished redesigning these spaces, and they're beautiful and wonderful. And then COVID happened, and we had to say goodbye to the spaces, and everyone went to work from home. And now that whole building shut down during COVID, and June 1st it reopened. So officially, our office is back.
Are you back?
Not one person from our team has gone to the office. We gave everyone the option. And we did a survey, and we said, okay, the office is reopening. There's certain guidelines that, the Israeli Ministry of Health has put in place. You have to check temperatures. You have to sign a form. There's all certain space between people and whatever. But that's fine. We can do that. And we said, if anyone wants to come to the office, then you are more than welcome. It is now reopening. And it turns out that pretty much all of us prefer to work from home.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in the beginning, there were some people that it was really, it was hard for all of us because you have to adjust, right? Plus we all, most of us have families, kids, and a lot of our team has small kids. So, they would have their kids climbing on them during our daily stand-ups and things like that. And so that was challenging. And then we also have single team members, and that's also hard for them to be, stuck in their apartments alone without the social interaction that we would get in the office. So I thought that when we reopened the office, the people who were having a harder time would run back, and that hasn't been the case. I think we all kind of got used to it. And also, I know for me, I love not spending time on the road in traffic.
Right.
That exhausted me. I can get so much more done. So now we have to rethink what we're doing with our sadly beautiful office.
Oh,
really, it's crazy, but
that is crazy.
People to go in just because we have a nice office. If they feel more productive, and really, it's not. We don't doubt that they're not being productive. They are. They feel more productive and more comfortable working from home, and it's working for us as a company, which it is. Then that's what's best for us. And so we are thinking, different options. What we'll do going forward, because it still is really important to have the in-person interactions, at least at some regular basis. So either we'll be once a week in the office, or maybe once a month we'll meet up or something. We're trying to figure it out now, but that's where we're at with office versus home.
Yeah. That's interesting, because that office was so nice. It looked really, really nice. Yeah, I felt quite sad because the coincidence of timing was horrific. It's brand new office, next day, not allowed to go to office.
Now say goodbye to that beautiful office.
Yeah, it was felt like the next day. It probably wasn't.
It really, I think we spent a month in it once it was done, which is really not a lot of time. And then we all had to go home. So yeah, but it's okay. It's a shame, but there's a lot of advantages to working from home in terms of greater time productivity. I keep thinking about the environment.
Yep.
We're all, in our cars on the road, and why do we all have to be doing that? More time with family.
Yep.
Well, okay.
You're going to keep yours, Paul?
Yeah, I don't have a proper workspace at home, so I'm in the corner of my daughter's room at the top of the house at the moment, which is where I work, and it's not ideal for me. It's not ideal for my daughter as well. So I want to go back to my office where it's basically just me. Like Peter, my business partner, does live in the same town, but most of the time he would be based in London, but he's tending to work at home. And Adrian lives about 20 miles away from here. So we don't have like a centralized, but my office is like a small 1-room office for me to go and work in because I don't have that space in our house. It's full of kids and animals, so I don't have my own space, and that's my space. So I'm looking forward to going back there, and the better webcam.
That makes all the difference. I happen to have had this room. It's like a guest kind of / toy / my office room. I'd barely used it as an office, but once COVID started, like I kind of moved in here. If I didn't have this, I would feel the same. Like if I had to work at a dining room table or something with all the kids around me and the TV on or whatever, like no, that would not work.
Yeah, that's a good point. Paul, would you ever consider like channeling the money that you spend on the office in some way to, I don't know, supplement something on your house, like move to a house with a dedicated office space,
honest,
or build something in the garden? Or
if there was space, then I wouldn't bother with the office. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Right.
So if there was a room, I'd be absolutely fine with doing that. So in a way, the office that we rent is basically like the extension on the house kind of thing. It's only 10 minutes walk away.
Okay. So there's no cars or
right. No, 5 minutes on my bike, 10 minutes to walk. So it's just down the road, and it's nice to have that space. It's a nice little room and everything, and so it works well for us. And also we were fortunate because we had that office. We've qualified for some government grant over here. If you have one office, not two, so you're kind of a certain size company, there's a particular grant, 10K that the government gives you if you're in a specific situation. So we're really fortunate. It's paid for all the rent for the year for it. So and then some.
Nice.
So even though I've not been there, that's made up for, paying.
Don't say it, Paul. Shh, they'll get it back.
Yeah,
figure out
it's all legit. It's not like I've figured out a way to break the system. It's literally, if you qualify for these things called business rates, business where you don't pay business rates because you've only got one room in a building with multiple rented rooms. There's a particular COVID-19 assistance to help all businesses in that particular situation, to help them, I guess, pay for the things that they're paying for that they can't use at the moment. So.
What about you, Ben? Looks like you're at home, but have you always been at home? You are at home like me? I'm always at home. I love it.
I must admit, I agree with Paul. I mean, I'm on furlough in the UK because obviously the COVID-19 situation. So I've got no choice but to do what I do from home, and I like working from home. But if I had a dedicated room, it would be a lot better. Because people are relegating themselves out of the way from the living room, which is where I've got this set up, as you can see behind me. And I don't like that. It's not fair on them. So personally, if I could afford to rent somewhere that's got a spare bedroom, I'd use that, and I could shut myself away.
Right.
That's me in there. Everybody can use the house and do whatever they want. But at the moment, it's a little bit difficult. So I'm going from here to the kitchen, so everybody else can watch TV, or I'll go to my room, or go to the bedroom. So it's difficult. It's very difficult.
I've got a computer over just there, and my wife has to use it at various times, so I have to just unplug everything and just wander out, and she comes in for an hour, and so we do it that way, and it's been fine. But I think it'd be nice to have things back to normal. She's desperate to go back to her office, because that's just the way she works. Oh man, I had so much else to talk about, but I think we've run massively out of time. I was going to talk about nuclear reactors and magnets that blew up, but
I've got like 45 minutes. I've got 45 minutes on magnets. I researched it on Sunday.
Oh no, damn.
Is it the 30 best magnets in the world ever?
Yeah, these WordPress themes will attract new business.
That would be so
why not? Do that.
The 30 best magnets in the world ever. Yeah, the 30 best posts about best things in the world ever.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's great.
They're
Oh
amazing.
no, I was going to talk about Automatic, who've invested 4.6 million in a new venture called New Vector. I was going to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the DNA contained within them, but time is up. Okay, let's do what we. It's probably the best, right? Let's do what we do always at the end. Say what's happening this week. I'm here. I'm just doing this. I've got a few things that I need to edit, but that's about it. I'm very, very, very quiet at the moment. What about you, Ben?
Writing content for WP Zoom, writing stuff for myself, and I've started writing for other people as well. I'm getting a few people contact me on Twitter, and they want me to write about pages, that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and learning SEO as well.
Nice.
properly.
That's good. Boy, you've got a really busy week. Learning SEO in a week. And then at the end, you can produce your 30 best tutorials for learning SEO piece. That's going to have to be your meme from now on.
Well, and I'll be on page 1 by sort of like next Friday.
Oh, ka-ching.
Maybe. Sell an ebook.
Yeah. Paul, what's going on?
Well, right after this, I'm going to write one email, and then I'm going to go for a bike ride, as long as it's not raining, with Peter, my business partner, so that we can have a social distance founders meeting, I guess you could call it. Although it's more like just a couple of guys just sitting with a can of beer in the field. But basically, we've got a lot of cool stuff going on in Dicky Bears at the moment. I can't really talk about it, but there's some interesting developments and things that we're doing, and we really need to catch up in person. Okay.
With beer on a bike, yeah.
Yeah, only one beer. Okay, one beer. It's like quite. I'm no carbon as well, so it's not even got alcohol in it.
We know how this goes, Paul. That one beer leads to another beer, and before you know it, you've had 30 beers, and you can write an article about which was the best. Yeah. Miriam, anything this week? Yeah.
I mean, my calendar is always insane. If I showed it to you, it's ridiculous. But well, so we're working on some interesting internal projects. So we have a lot of meetings around that related to user experience. That's what's also fun. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of pain involved in founding a startup. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, but it's fun, all the things I get to learn. So now we're like doing a big project related to user experience. And so I've been learning a lot about that, and that's been really exciting. And on Thursday, we always have our happy hour for our team. So we still do that online. So we have that. Plus, this is the first time I'm joining this. So Google has a campus in Tel Aviv. And they've been doing it, but I haven't joined yet. So they're having like an online cocktail happy hour, and they send you a cocktail kit before. So I signed up for the kit, basically. What? I know. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm really excited to get it. And then we all make our cocktails, I guess, and we drink them together on Thursday. So I'll be doing that. That's basically, I just told you about 2 happy hours and a little bit of work. That's not normally how my week goes. And like a billion other things, basically, but like boring.
So basically the bottom half of the screen, you're just getting drunk, aren't you? That's what's happening.
Yeah, but they're business meetings. Yeah. We've just explained that in
Yeah. You keep telling yourself that. Right. Yeah. We've got to stop this nonsense. Thank you so much for joining us. That's been really entertaining. I've loved this week. That was very good. If you don't mind, I'm just going to do the usual sort of, shutting down and putting the thing up. I'll mute your mics, but if you guys want to stick around, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Thanks for those of you that made a comment. I know it's very much appreciated. So thanks a lot. Right, let me put the screen on. You might want to mute your own mics because then it stops me from having to do it. But right, we'll see you all next time. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.